Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I hope we are doing well today. Welcome to today's program, which we have entitled Cultivating a Learning and Knowledge-Driven Workplace. By way of introduction, let me say that individuals and organizations are in a continuous state of learning. By learning, we mean acquisition of new skills, knowledge, experiences, and abilities. Why are we in a continuous state of learning? There are several reasons. I can mention three. One, dynamic environment. The environment in which we operate is in a continuous state of change, and therefore we have to adapt. For example, there is new technologies emerging, which we all have to learn. And therefore learning is continuous because of the dynamic environment in which we operate. Secondly, obsolescence, that the knowledge we have has a shelf life. By shelf life, I mean it can expire. Why does it expire? Because of the introduction of new strategies, new policies, and new ways of doing things, which can make the current knowledge that we have to become obsolete. And number three, why we need to continuously learn is because of the need to be competitive. Organizations that compete successfully in their markets are those that are able to learn about their environment, develop new products, innovate, and use this knowledge in a way that enables them to achieve a competitive advantage. And therefore, we need to cultivate a learning organization. As I will mention, to cultivate, just like in agriculture or in any other field, means making preparations or plans to acquire, share, and store knowledge resources so that we can learn in future or improve our systems and processes. And that is the very reason why we are talking about cultivating a learning and a knowledge-driven workplace. To make us understand the concept of learning and knowledge-driven workplace, we have several objectives that we hope to achieve at the end of this program. Objective one is to operationalize or implement learning and development strategies through knowledge management. Learning and development, as it were, has to do with acquiring new skills and knowledge. And for development, it has to do with growth in terms of position, meaning that those people who grow in their positions through promotion are those who have acquired the relevant skills and knowledge. Therefore, at the end of this program, we intend to equip ourselves with those strategies that will enable people to learn and develop themselves. There are quite a number of these strategies, including mentorship, coaching, peer learning, and collaboration platforms. There are various tools that we can use, which I will mention, such as learning management systems, which enable people to learn on their own and at their own time. Secondly, we intend to achieve alignment of knowledge initiatives with organizational goals. Alignment here has to do with crafting knowledge management initiatives that help to achieve organizational goals. So to align is to ensure that the initiatives fit or help to achieve organizational goals. So what are the organizational goals, for example, that we are likely to align with? Number one is cost containment. That if we are to reduce or optimize costs, then employees must learn or know how they can reduce costs. Secondly, another goal could be development of new products, probably 2 or 3. To develop a new product requires knowledge, and this knowledge is acquired through learning. Objective 3 is how we are going to drive a knowledge-oriented culture through learning. A culture of knowledge retention relates to creating systems and formulating strategies that will enable organizations keep their knowledge assets. The knowledge assets can be classified into 2. One, documented knowledge, which is in the form of tacit, explicit knowledge. And secondly is tacit knowledge, which is experiential in nature, which people have at the individual level. So for us to create a culture of knowledge retention, it's about ensuring that we store and share our knowledge resources throughout the organization. This also suggests that we should not lose our knowledge. And the knowledge can be lost through theft if we don't keep it well, or secondly, through exits where qualified employees leave the organization with their knowledge. And through this knowledge retention culture, we are able to ensure employee growth. Employees can grow in 2 ways. One, through promotion, and 2, through acquisition of new skills and knowledge. Promotion is one of the ways in which we develop succession plans, or is one of the succession plans that we prepare. So those who are promoted must be qualified. Qualified in which way? One, they have the competences required. And 2, they have the skills and knowledge. And here we are talking about knowledge retention, where we are promoting employees so that they don't leave with their knowledge. Secondly, employees can grow through acquisition of new skills and knowledge. And how do we ensure that they acquire these skills and knowledge? Basically, it is through one, training programs, which could be formal or informal. Secondly, is experiential learning, where people are exposed to different tasks to perform so that they can learn from them. Or three, people can acquire skills and knowledge through sharing. And the sharing can be done in small or big groups. So these are the three objectives that we intend to achieve at the end of this program. So having said that, I want us to look at an introduction to cultivating, learning, and knowledge-based workplace. So in cultivating this learning and the knowledge-based environment, organizations must prioritize continuous learning so that they can remain competitive and adaptive. What does it mean by continuous learning? It means acquiring skills and knowledge without stopping. As I will mention, there are consequences when people stop learning on a continuous basis, one of which is stagnation. So when we prioritize continuous learning, we avoid stagnation at the individual or organizational level. So continuous learning means developing a culture where people create, store, and share their knowledge on a continuous basis, which means that as HR managers, we must create opportunities for our employees to continuously learn. And that suggests that we prepare training programs based on training needs so that our employees don't stagnate, either professionally or in terms of new knowledge acquisition. Secondly, learning and knowledge-driven workplaces empowers employees to gain and apply knowledge. By empowering, we mean that employees are enabled to perform their jobs or tasks efficiently and effectively. And we empower employees in many ways. I can mention two, and that is why we are here. One is through training and development. And two, we empower them by way of rewarding them. So when people are trained, they acquire skills and knowledge that can help them influence or make decisions. So empowered employees are those who can make decisions without supervision or monitoring. Where employees are empowered through training, then delegation, promotion, and innovation become easier. Thirdly, learning and knowledge-driven organization creates a culture of curiosity, collaboration, and growth. I have talked about growth, and therefore I will focus on the other two concepts, curiosity and collaboration. A culture of curiosity is where people are eager, willing, and ready to learn new skills and knowledge, meaning that they want to know more about a particular subject or area of interest. And we can make people to be curious if we encourage them to learn or challenge their existing knowledge. So to create this culture of curiosity, we need to, one, challenge existing knowledge, two, reward people so that they can be more curious, and three, expose them to challenging tasks or assigning them challenging tasks so that they can be curious or eager to learn so that they can understand those challenging tasks. In terms of collaboration, this has to do with two things. Working together as a team, that is one, and two, creating an environment of cooperation. So collaboration has to do with working together and cooperating with others. And why do we need to work together? There are several reasons. I can mention two. One, to learn from one another. Remember, our topic is cultivating a learning and a knowledge-based organization. So when we work together collaboratively, we learn from one another. And that is why, as HR managers, we need to promote diversity, inclusion, and equity so as to promote collaboration. So diversity has to do with our differences in terms of education, religion, nationality, and even in terms of experience. So when people come together collaboratively from different backgrounds, they learn from each other because of their different experiences. And secondly, when people cooperate, it means that there is little or reduced conflict. When people don't cooperate, there is a possibility of conflict. And in an environment where there are conflicts, people don't learn much. That environment of conflict becomes toxic and discourages learning. And in most cases, it also leads to creation of silos where people work individually because there are many conflicts. So cultivating a learning and a knowledge-based workplace enables people to be curious and also work together as teams or as groups. I'll be mentioning teams and groups which enable people to learn from one another. Another aspect of learning and the knowledge-driven workplace is diverse learning methods and modalities. That learning methods are the ways in which people acquire new skills and knowledge. So you cannot talk about a learning culture and a knowledge-driven workplace without talking about the methods through which people learn. What are the methods that we use to learn? I can mention them in two broad categories. One is on-the-job methods, and two, off-the-job methods. On-the-job are basically experiential and mainly informal. They include methods like one, delegation, two, mentorship and coaching, three, job shadowing, and four, temporary promotion. So these are examples of learning methods within an organization. How about the second one, which is off-the-job learning? This is where people acquire new skills and knowledge outside the organization. Why outside? It is because the skills and knowledge required may not be available within the organization. And that is why we go out there to learn. So we can learn where? One, in institutions of learning like colleges and universities, and two, other organizations. So what are these methods that we use to learn outside the organization? One, workshops, conferences, and seminars. Two is comparison with other organizations, which is called benchmarking. We benchmark with other organizations so that we learn best practices. And we can also learn outside through case studies. We look at those successful organizations and learn from them. So these are some of the methods that we can use to create a culture of learning and knowledge-driven workplaces. We don't want to rely on one method, and that is why I have indicated that we need to use diverse methods, different methods. So through a cross-pollination of these methods, people can acquire skills and knowledge to meet their different needs. Another aspect of learning and the knowledge-driven workplace is improvement of employee competence, engagement, and agility. Competence has to do with the capabilities or ability to do something. And the competent employees are those who can perform their work efficiently and effectively. By efficiency, we mean utilization of optimum resources so that we don't waste them. By effectiveness, we mean production of desired results, such as customer satisfaction and revenue generation. So what makes employees to be competent? We go back to our topic. It is about skills, knowledge, and experience. So competent employees are those who are skilled, knowledgeable, and experienced. Our key focus here is skills and knowledge, which we call learning. We learn new skills and knowledge for us to be competent. Engagement has to do with the 2 or 3 things. One, participating in organizational activities. 2, performing one's job to desired expectations. And 3, commitment and identity with the organization. Why do we talk about engagement? It is because we want people who are productive and do not exit the organization with all their skills and knowledge. So when we create a learning culture, it means that we train and promote our employees to make them engaged. Training and developing employees to get them engaged. And again, through training and development, we retain those qualified or competent employees. So engagement is key when talking about creating or cultivating a learning and a knowledge-based organization. And lastly is organizational agility. This is about adapting to changes in our environment. We must make our employees, systems, processes, and even technologies agile. Agile in the sense of adapting to changes in our environment. At the individual and organizational level, we can only be agile when we acquire relevant skills and knowledge which are reflective of the changes in our environment. So we train employees and develop them so that they can adapt to change. And that is why we talk about cultivating a learning organization where people continuously acquire new skills and knowledge to adapt to change. And lastly, creating this environment of continuous learning requires leadership support so that we can build a sustainable learning environment. So what kind of support are we talking about from our leaders? One, their personal time and effort. 2, resources required for learning. And 3, policies and strategies that will enable people to find direction in what they do. So we require our leaders to support us so that we can create a learning and a knowledge-based environment. Without this support, again, we stagnate, we stop innovating, and we become demotivated. For sustaining learning environments, it means that we develop resilience by way of developing ourselves at the individual level to acquire new skills and knowledge, so that in the event of storms which are caused by environmental changes, we are able to adapt. So sustainable organizations are those that can survive for a long time without stagnating or collapsing. And we can only be sustainable if we acquire new skills and knowledge on a continuous basis. So we can say that cultivating learning and knowledge-based organizations refers to prioritizing continuous learning, empowering employees, creating a culture of curiosity, using different methods of learning, improving employee competence, and leadership support. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we are going to discuss in this program as we move on. So, we talk of cultivating learning and knowledge-based organizations. So we start with cultivating learning. What is it to cultivate? I've highlighted a few concepts there. It means purposely encouraging, supporting continuous learning, as well as knowledge sharing and skills development. Encouraging that as HR managers, we need to encourage our employees to continuously learn because we know the consequences of not learning. So how do we encourage people to learn? One is to reward learning. That where people have acquired new skills and knowledge, either through formal or informal methods, we can reward them by giving them a token of appreciation or even promoting them. So when we promote people as a result of learning, we are encouraging them to learn. We can also encourage them to learn by leading by example. That as HR managers, we are role models and others learn from us. We create an example when we learn ourselves. So when our employees hear that we have joined a course, whether it is within or outside, then they are also encouraged. So encouraging learning requires that people continuously acquire skills and knowledge. Secondly, is supporting continuous learning. That learning never comes to an end. And in the next slide, I will show us what happens when we stop learning. So HR managers support continuous learning in several ways. One is by creating teams around functions or projects so that employees learn from each other through those teams. It could be teams within the HR department. For example, a team working on an impending recruitment and selection so that people come together to share their experiences and knowledge on this process of recruitment. Or it could be cross-functional teams. For example, we are creating a knowledge management system where we draw people from different departments so that they can work on this new system called knowledge management system. So continuous learning can be supported through people working together as teams or being sponsored for courses outside the organization being sponsored. That means we finance employees to attend courses relevant to the organization for purposes of, one, preparing succession plans, and two, retaining those potential employees. So cultivating a learning environment also means supporting continuous learning. On knowledge sharing, those of us who have been with us through this series, we said that knowledge sharing is an open exchange of skills, knowledge, and experiences. Open sharing or open exchange, which means that when we meet for a meeting, when we access knowledge from our repositories, or when we are interviewing people when they are exiting, we are sharing knowledge. And we said that sharing knowledge is very key. Without sharing, people start developing silos where every employee dies with their knowledge or is not willing to exchange their knowledge, either because of fear that they might be outshining their bosses, or fear that they will be overused or overworked because they have certain knowledge that others don't have. And lastly, cultivating a learning culture means skills development. So skill development is enhancing or sharpening or improving the current skills. For example, we may have computer skills, how to operate a computer using different software. We can enhance that skill by including other programs like cybersecurity. So we can develop cybersecurity skills through training and sharing knowledge with others. So skill development is improving, sharpening, or enhancing the current set of skills that we have. For example, HR managers, apart from having the technical skills like recruitment and selection, training and development, performance management, among others, we can develop other skills. And these other skills might include soft skills. I will be mentioning examples of these soft skills, which include, one, teamwork, two, decision making, and three, communication. So we can sharpen communication skills, interpersonal skills, or decision making skills. And that can only happen where people are given opportunities to learn from others within the organization or from experts in the industry. So basically, cultivating a learning organization or culture means encouraging, supporting, sharing, and developing employee skills and knowledge. So that is the concept of cultivating learning. As I had indicated, there are several things that can happen when people stop learning. One, we stagnate. Stagnation means that you don't grow, one, professionally, two, socially, or three, career-wise. Sometimes it's better to go backwards than stagnating. When you stagnate, it means that you are going around in circles without making progress. And people stagnate when their skills and knowledge become outdated and irrelevant. Like I indicated, our skills and knowledge have a shelf life, meaning that they become stale with time. The knowledge we had yesterday has become obsolete today. So the technology of yesterday, where we used typewriters, has become outdated. And therefore, employees require new skills in the digital era, where digital platforms like Facebook, LinkedIn, or WhatsApp have become the order of today. So the knowledge of yesterdays or yesteryears has become outdated. So people can stagnate because their knowledge has become outdated or irrelevant. Being irrelevant means that the knowledge can no longer be used. It has become obsolete. So when people stop learning, they stagnate, as I mentioned, in three ways. One, their careers stop. Two, their professions stop. And three, their interpersonal relations stop. Secondly, when people stop learning, there is reduced innovation. That without new skills and knowledge, we stop or reduce creation of new systems, new processes, new products, and new tools. Meaning that at the individual and organizational level, we do not solve problems in a creative way. And that becomes a danger to the organization because organizations that do not develop new systems or new processes that are cost effectively cannot compete. So without innovation, we become uncompetitive. Even at the individual level, if you are not innovative, you become uncompetitive and therefore cannot be promoted to higher positions. The other consequence of stopping learning is lower confidence. That our self-esteem is eroded when we cannot discuss or argue our cases in a logical and intelligent manner. Can you imagine you are engaged in a conversation to solve a problem in your organization and you cannot contribute meaningfully to the discussion. That at the end of that meeting, you have said little or nothing. So what happens next time? You may not be invited to such meetings because you are not creating value. And this is demoralizing when you are left out, when critical decisions are being made about you and the organization. So for you to gain more confidence, you need to learn on a continuous basis. That when you have acquired relevant skills and knowledge, you can discuss issues and make decisions confidently. And that goes a long way in motivating us when we can contribute to organizational success. Another consequence of stopping learning is decreased employability. Starting from recruitment and selection and through promotion. Those are the ways in which we get employed. When you don't have the skills and knowledge, you cannot be employed. Why? Because employers are looking for candidates who have the right mix of skills, knowledge, and abilities that can help to solve their problems. If you don't have the skills and the knowledge, which are a product of learning, then you are not employable. Not only within the organization, but outside. Even if you apply for jobs outside there, if you have not acquired new skills relevant at the moment, then people will always keep your CV because they don't see value in what you have. So when you acquire new skills in new areas like cyber security, cloud computing, data analytics, you are likely to be attractive to many organizations. So if you don't have knowledge of this new and emerging knowledge, then you don't merit to be promoted or to be hired. And as a result of not learning, we become uncompetitive in the job market. Being uncompetitive means that you are not able to match the abilities, skills, and knowledge of others, because you can be asked the questions in a new job application and you go blank. Why do we go blank? It is because we don't know. But when you know, you will be on top of your game. You will answer all the questions to the best of your ability. And in that way, you become competitive. Being competitive means that you are at par or better than other job applicants. So you cannot be better than others if you don't have relevant and modern skills and knowledge. Another consequence is declining performance. That we are not able to do our work or produce results the expected levels without relevant skills and knowledge. So the knowledge that we had yesterday, when applied to today's jobs, may not be applicable. And that leads to errors inefficiency, and poor results. Errors relate to making mistakes or not being accurate. And you can make mistakes either in decision making or in compliance. For example, compliance with the various policies and laws that can cost an organization a lot of money and time. So some errors are very expensive, especially those that cause risk of financial loss or lawsuits because of non-compliance. Inefficiency is about utilization of our resources in an optimal way. That without knowledge, or when we stop learning, we become inefficient because we use skills that are not relevant today, which makes it expensive. And then poor results has to do with not meeting the targets and our KPIs. So we have targets to meet, especially those of us who are under PCs, performance contracting, that failure to meet those targets, then we are poor performers. So again, when we stop planning, the consequence is that we cannot perform our tasks and produce desired results. Lastly, is the resistance to change. Why do people resist change? There are many reasons, but one of the main reasons is lack of knowledge of the new changes. Knowledge. So when people don't know what the changes entail, they become resistant. Or secondly, when people are not well educated or have not been exposed to new skills and knowledge, they have a closed mind, meaning that they are not able to adapt to new changes, which may require them to perform certain tasks that they may not know. And for this reason, people start becoming fearful and rigid because they do not know how to navigate the new changes. So resistance to change is a consequence of people stopping learning. So ladies and gentlemen, those are some of the things or consequences of people stopping learning. So you can imagine as a HR manager, you have stagnated, you are not innovative, you are not confident, your employability reduces, and you resist change, then you are on your way out. Most employers don't have the luxury of time and money to waste on people who do not add value. So all these consequences reduce your value. So to avoid being valueless, we need to continue. And that is why as HR managers, we need to cultivate learning at the individual level so that we do not stagnate, and at the organizational level so that we increase productivity of our employees. What do you and I run in organizations? There are 1,001 things that we all learn. And we learn this on a continuous basis. Some of the key things that we all learn are job-specific skills. All of us are employed to do different types of jobs. As HR managers, we are employed to ensure that the organization acquires, maintains, and retains the right number and the quality of employees. So we can only perform that job if we have the right skills and knowledge. For technical people like engineers, it could be computer engineers, they also must master the skills and the knowledge required in computer engineering. The same with finance. Finance people must have all the knowledge related to books of account and financial management. Those are technical skills specific to that job. Other employees include salespeople, for those of us who are selling goods and services. So salespeople must have skills related to, one, interpersonal skills, that they are able to relate with their customers. Two, product skills, that they know the functionality of a product so that when they are explaining to their customers, they can persuade them. So we learn skills and knowledge related to our specific jobs. Secondly, we learn about organizational policies and procedures. We are all aware that most of our decisions are governed by policies and procedures. Policies are guidelines that help us to make informed decisions or conduct our jobs effectively. Procedures are step-by-step methods of doing things like recruitment or training or performance appraisal. So knowledge of these policies is very important because, one, it helps us to understand what the organizational rules are, and secondly, ensuring compliance with the labor laws and industry practices. So without knowledge of policies and procedures, our decisions might be very chaotic and inconsistent, which means that we are exposed because failure to follow due process may mean many litigations or lawsuits, which are money and time consuming. So we must learn about policies and procedures from the very beginning employees join organizations. And that is why induction, orientation, and onboarding become necessary so that people learn what the organization requires of them. Thirdly, we learn about communication and collaboration. Communication is about passing information from one person or place to another. And we communicate in different ways, either through meetings or through telephones or through written texts like emails and WhatsApp groups. So we learn best practices in communication. And we also learn what the policies say about communication. Who should communicate, when, how, and how much information can be shared. Secondly, I've mentioned collaboration is about working together as teams. Why? Because of the need for sharing information. So we learn about communication, and there are many communication skills that we can learn, one of which is listening. Listening is a communication skill that we can learn because when we listen, we learn more than when we talk more.
Sabi ko sa kamit siya kasi kindikiyan ko lagi random boss na mainon ako mga po different. Na mainon ka na
As I have indicated before, when communicating, we learn more when listening than when talking. So when we talk more, we are basically repeating what we already know. So listening is a communication skill that we can learn so that we can improve ourselves. And communication promotes teamwork, interaction, and cooperation. We also learn about leadership and management. These are two concepts that are key for the success of organizations. Leadership is about influencing and inspiring others. As HR managers, we are leaders. We inspire others to be their best. And how do we inspire them? By leading by example or modeling ourselves as examples. We also inspire them by encouraging them to learn. And we also inspire them by supporting them. That is leadership. Without effective leadership, people cannot be inspired to learn, or there will be no motivation for them to learn new skills and knowledge. So we must provide direction to our employees by demonstrating leadership. That yes, everything and anything can be done when people are motivated, when people are trained, and when people are coached and mentored. And for management, is about ensuring that all resources are planned, organized, coordinated, and controlled to achieve organizational goals and objectives. So as managers, we plan, we organize, we direct, we control many things. We plan learning programs. We plan succession programs. We also plan mentorship and coaching. That's part of management. Then we coordinate. By coordination, we ensure that there is no conflict. I have indicated that where there are frequent conflicts, people are afraid of sharing their skills and knowledge. So through coordination, people work as a team, people work cooperatively. And that is the work of a manager to coordinate activities, coordinate programs so that there are no conflicts. And we also control. Controlling is about taking measures to ensure that there are no deficits or surpluses, or in other words, that there are no excesses or shortages. So we control many things. as HR managers. One, we control staffing so that we do not have overstaffing or understaffing. And that can only be done through human resource planning. And the human resource plan is a control tool. So basically, when we talk about leadership and management, we are talking about supervision, decision making, and team performance. So as managers and leaders, we make sure that people are supervised to do their things. However, there is a caution to supervision that today we don't want to supervise people, we want to empower them so that they make decisions on their own and they are accountable. So we should reduce supervision in a modern day organization where employees are empowered. Decision making is about making choices, and the choices that we make today may live long after us. That is a quotation from a book that the evil that men do may live long after them. That if we make poor decisions today, we may suffer the consequences for a long time. So we learn leadership and management so that we can make informed decisions which are data-driven. I'll be talking about knowledge-based organizations where we make decisions based on data. The other thing that we learn is problem solving and critical thinking. We all have problems around us at the individual level or at the organizational level. One of the problems at the individual level is stagnation, that we are not growing professionally or in terms of position. Why is it a problem? Because you are not utilizing your full potential. Or two, you are not getting the returns from the job that you are doing. So stagnation is a problem which we need to solve. At the organizational level, we have many problems related to performance, related to employee behavior and discipline, or other problems related to data management, where data is lost for some reason. So we solve problems through learning. Secondly, we have talked about critical thinking, where we analyze issues and develop solutions in a manner that is logical and creative. So today we encourage people to think critically. But critical thinking does not just come on its own. We must cultivate critical thinking. And that is why we are talking about cultivating learning. So how do we cultivate critical thinking? It is by sponsoring employees for training programs. That at the end of a program, they are able to think critically. We want to create a community of problem solvers and not problem. So when we learn how to solve problems and think critically, then we are able to resolve workplace challenges. I have indicated some of the challenges like stagnation, indiscipline, or data management, which can cost an organization a fortune. The other thing that we also learn is emotional intelligence, which include interpersonal skills, decision making, and also emotion, and also team working. So emotional intelligence is about awareness and the management of our own emotions, as well as the emotions of others, so that we can create a working relationship. So emotionally intelligent people are those who are aware of themselves and manage their emotions. They are also aware of other people's emotions and also know how to manage them. For example, a counselor, HR managers are also counselors, can use their emotional intelligence to counsel other employees, either on work-related or personal issues. So we use emotional intelligence like counseling skills to help others navigate their challenges, both at home and in the organization. So by learning how to manage our own emotions and the emotions of others, we are able to create a working relationship and teamwork in our organization. We are also able to understand where others are coming from, where they are today, and perhaps where they are going. So emotional intelligence has to do with the ability to identify and manage our own emotions and the emotions of others, so that we can create a good environment that promotes teamwork. And lastly, we can learn about company culture and values. I may have indicated before, and we may perhaps know this, that a poor culture discourages many things. They discourage learning. Two, they discourage sharing. Three, they discourage relationships. And four, they discourage attainment of organizational goals and objectives. And as somebody once upon a time said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You can imagine your strategies being eaten early in the morning, even before you face the day. That your strategy collapses very early before you move forward. So we need to create a culture where learning is valued and celebrated. So company culture relates to those values, norms, and shared beliefs which shape or influence the behavior of people in organizations. So what kind of culture are we likely to learn when we are working in our organization? One, a culture of sharing, where people are freely and openly sharing or exchanging skills and knowledge. Two, a culture of innovation, where we encourage people to develop or create new ideas, new processes, and new systems so that we become more effective. Another culture, which is number three, is teamwork. That we learn the culture of teamwork where we work together in a cooperative and supportive way, that through teamwork, we are able to achieve more or better results than when we are working individually. And based on our organizational mission and vision, culture relates to those values that we want to promote at all times. And what are the values that relate to our culture? One, customer care. Two, innovation. Three, honesty and integrity. And four, professionalism. So we need to learn all this and how they work in an organization. For example, we need to learn about one, maybe I can pick one of the values that I have mentioned, honesty and integrity. That honesty has to do with telling the truth and not lying. You can imagine an organization where people lie to each other on a regular basis. That organization cannot grow. Integrity is behaving in a manner that brings honor and respect to you as an individual and to the office. So integrity has to do with keeping your professional distance and ensuring that you follow due process without cutting shortcuts or making shortcuts. Shortcuts are likely to short circuit processes, and that can cause problems. So we need to be honest by way of telling the truth at all times, the truth to our employees, to our customers and other stakeholders. And integrity, behaving in a manner that brings honor and respect. One or two of integrity issues is like corruption or conflict of interest. That we need to learn about all this so that our processes and job performance are seamless. So these are some of the things that we learn as individuals and as organizations. The second aspect related to our topic is knowledge-driven workplaces. Remember, our topic today is about cultivating learning, which we have just finished talking about. And the second aspect of the topic is knowledge-driven workplace. So by definition, I've said that this is an organization where skills, knowledge, experiences, or expertise are created, shared, and used to improve organizational performance and innovation. The keywords are creation, sharing, and application. We create knowledge, we share knowledge, and apply knowledge. That is a knowledge-driven workplace. In this series, we have talked about creating, sharing, and applying knowledge. Where creating knowledge means that you generate knowledge either through discussions or through computers like AI, or we create knowledge through coaching and mentorship. And then we share knowledge. We share knowledge through emails, through letters, through manuals, and policies. And lastly, we apply knowledge. We apply knowledge by way of making decisions or innovating. And all these are intended to enhance organizational performance. So a knowledge-driven workplace is where employees and managers purposefully create, share, and apply their knowledge to improve their performance. And then a knowledge-driven workplace is where there is a knowledge-sharing culture. As I have indicated, knowledge sharing is open exchange of skills, knowledge, and abilities. We also share insights, which are new ways of looking at things. We also share lessons, especially from activities that we have undertaken. We also share our experiences based on what we have gone through. So a knowledge-driven workplace is where there is an open exchange of knowledge, where people are encouraged to share their insights, lessons, and experiences. As we move forward, we shall be looking at this so that we can have a clear understanding of what knowledge sharing culture is. Thirdly, a knowledge-driven workplace is collaboration-oriented, where people or teams are working together to solve problems or develop new ideas. Problem solving can be enhanced by working with others. Why? Because nobody in the world has a monopoly of knowledge or experience to solve problems. So when we work together collaboratively, we bring together people from different backgrounds to solve problems. So people who have gone a similar experience, when faced with a similar problem, they are able to solve that problem. And again, when people work together, they develop new ideas. As human beings, we are limited in terms of knowledge. And others have other ideas or better ways of doing things or performing jobs. So in a knowledge-driven workplace, we encourage people working together to solve problems. And that is what we have called collaboration-oriented. The other aspect of a knowledge-driven workforce is technology integration. That we all operate in a technological space where job performance and communication is done through technological tools. Last week, we mentioned digital tools such as document management systems, human resource information systems, or cloud computing, which support knowledge creation, sharing, and application. So in a knowledge-driven workplace, we adopt digital tools to facilitate learning or knowledge creation and sharing. As I indicated again, technology drives the way we do things. as individuals and as organizations to make us successful or compete with others. That at the individual level, we must acquire technological skills so that we can create and share knowledge. Employees who do not have technological skills run the risk of becoming obsolete in the organization. I believe all of us remember during COVID, some learning institutions adopted learning from home or online learning. The lecturers who were not technologically savvy found it very difficult to deliver their trainings because they did not have technological skills. So they didn't know how to open computers or share their notes online. And that means that there was no learning taking place. The same applies to our organizations, that if some employees do not have these technological skills, then we cannot easily create, share, and use our knowledge assets. So we need to integrate technology in our day-to-day activities so that we are able to access, communicate, and utilize knowledge resources. And then a knowledge-driven workplace is one which is data-driven when it comes to decision-making. Data means that we collect information from different sources, and on the basis of this information, we make decisions. An informed decision is data-driven because it is based on facts. And we can only make such decisions if we have relevant and up-to-date knowledge which we have acquired from different sources, including our knowledge reservoirs or repositories in our organizations. Top managers, HR managers, supervisors, among others, make strategic choices, which are guided by evidence and best practices. So as HR managers, we make strategic choices related to training, performance management, reward and compensation, as well as health and safety based on data. I can pick an example of one of the functions that we perform as HR managers, and that is remuneration and reward, or compensation and reward. The choices we make in rewarding people should be based on data. So what do we do in order to make strategic choices when it comes to compensation? We need to conduct salary and benefits survey, salary surveys. That through these surveys, we collect data, and it's on the basis of this data that we strategize on how to reward and compensate our employees. That also requires that we also benchmark with the other organizations in the same market so that we can identify best practices when it comes to rewards and compensations. So without this data, we cannot make those decisions. The same happens with training. When we make decisions to take people for training, it must be based on a training need. And how do we identify training needs? We need to conduct a training needs analysis. And that means we collect data about our employees and the skills and the knowledge they have that will help them perform their work efficiently and effectively. Lastly, a knowledge-driven workplace is one that retains its organizational memory. By retention, we mean we document or we share with our employees critical knowledge which can help an organization to succeed or achieve its objectives. So organizational memory has to do with documented or undocumented knowledge which should be made accessible at the time employees need the knowledge. So basically, that is a knowledge-driven workplace. So I want us to now react to what we have discussed based on one, cultivating knowledge. Two, what happens when people stop learning. Three, what people learn in organizations. And four, a knowledge-driven workplace. So anybody with a question, you can ask or make a comment. The floor is yours. Anybody wants to make a comment or a question?
Thank you, Andrew, for that presentation.
Yes.
And I think what we are picking so far is that as HR professionals, we play a very key role in ensuring that learning is cultivated within the organization. I think what you have shared, there are a number of them that we do, and there are others that maybe we will need to improve on.
Yes.
And I think we'll be picking what you have given us and taking back to our organizations just to make sure that we are enhancing learning and making sure that the world is dynamic. So we make sure that we fit into it so that we don't become obsolete. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. It's a powerful presentation. Continue.
Thank you very much, Susan, for your comment. Yes, indeed, knowledge acquisition and a knowledge-driven workforce is about survival. That without it, we cannot survive as individuals or even as organizations. So I'm encouraged that we are learning and that we are picking key insights that will help us in making our organizations better, in cultivating a learning organization and a data-driven workplace. So thanks again, Susan. Now I want to move on to the next part, and that is key elements of a knowledge-driven workplace. So what is this that can make you know that, yes, we have a knowledge-driven workplace? Number one is communication. As we all know, communication is the lifeblood of an organization, just like oxygen. Without oxygen, we die as humans. Without communication, we die as organizations. So communication is about passing information. And passing information involves sharing knowledge. where we share knowledge within our departments or across departments or outside our organizations. And this communication must be open. Open in the sense that people are free to communicate relevant and value-adding information, which ensures that others learn from them. So in an open environment where people communicate, we are able to facilitate knowledge sharing. So how do we ensure that there is an open communication? The modern way of doing it is to adopt an open office policy or open organization, where we encourage people to ask questions, to share their ideas, to share their knowledge, or even share their innovations in a free or unrestricted manner. Beyond the communication, we also need to have an open mind. That means we are able to receive new ideas, new information, or new knowledge that we may not have had in the past. So being open-minded also means encouraging others to have different ideas or divergent opinions without the fear of being reprimanded. So such an environment encourages learning. So in a knowledge-driven workplace, we are likely to see open communication using the various channels that could be official or unofficial. For some organizations, using WhatsApp may not be official, but as it is, many organizations are adopting WhatsApp as a formal means of communication. We may use other communication tools like emails, telephone conversations, and also LMS systems where people are free to post and share their knowledge. Second one is digital tools. Digital tools are technological systems that we use to capture, store, share, and organize knowledge resources in an efficient and effective manner. And again, I can mention a few of these tools, one of which is cloud computing, where we store our data outside our organization for safety. Two, we use platforms like LinkedIn or Facebook, which are social media, to capture, store, and organize knowledge. We also have document management systems, which are a form of repositories where we capture, store, and organize knowledge assets like policies, standard operating procedures, as well as manuals and reports. So in a knowledge-driven workplace, we need to adopt digital tools that can facilitate learning. The other element is creating a trust culture. Trust results from a belief that somebody can keep or use information for the purpose intended. or not using information against others for sharing or after sharing. So we need to create a knowledge-driven workforce where we can trust each other with information or knowledge. That where people have fear that the knowledge they share can be used against them, then we discourage knowledge sharing. People hoard. Hoarding means keeping knowledge because of fear or because of being afraid that they will use, they might lose their powers in making decisions. So in a trusting environment, we create a culture where people are free to share their knowledge without fear of judgment. Fear is what creates barriers and even judgment. That sometimes we may not have relevant knowledge, and when we share this, people judge us either as being incompetent or valueless, just because we do not have the relevant knowledge. But where there is a trusting culture, people are willing to learn even when they make mistakes without the fear of being judged. So we encourage this again through confidentiality, through open sharing of knowledge resources, and also through encouraging others to make mistakes and learn from them. Another key element of a knowledge-driven workplace, is knowledge repositories. Repositories are stores of our knowledge where we keep knowledge. Some organizations keep knowledge in different places. Some keep them in a centralized place. As an example of a centralized knowledge repository is an ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, where all employees, whether a manager or a subordinate, can log into the system and access documents or access information for their use at the individual level in the organization. So such a centralized knowledge repository encourages knowledge sharing across departments. This again helps to discourage creation of silos, which is compartmentalization of knowledge. So if we want to encourage all our employees to learn, we need to create these central repositories. I am aware that some organizations are in the process of creating a KMS. A KMS is a knowledge management system, which is a centralized repository where all members of organizations can tap into and access knowledge resources. Unlike where we store knowledge in different places or departments, for example, HRIS, that is Human Resource Information System, which cannot be accessed by any other department. Or in a finance department, where they use their own system and other departments cannot access whatever they have. But when we have centralized repositories, we encourage knowledge sharing, and that creates a knowledge-driven workforce. Lastly, recognition. That we all become happy or become motivated when our effort is being recognized. And this recognition comes with rewards. Reward is anything we get outside our normal payment for doing extra work or for being innovative. So we should be able to reward employees who share valuable knowledge with others on a regular basis. And this is one way of encouraging or cultivating information and knowledge sharing. And that is what we call a learning organization. So to reward employees goes a long way in motivating them so that they can make more effort to share their knowledge. I have been to many organizations where you clearly see an employee making more contributions which are meaningful and valuable. And other employees appreciate that. That means that those active employees have the knowledge that they are willing and ready to share. So these are the people that we should be targeting for recognition because they contribute, unlike those that are quiet and hardly say anything during meetings. But some people may not share much because of their personalities, like introversion. As HR managers, we must realize that there are people who are quiet and rarely share their knowledge in detail. And they always give answers in monosyllabic form. That does not mean that we should not recognize and reward them. So how do we encourage them to share their knowledge? One, we can create portals within our system. For example, human resource information system. So in that portal, we can create sections where employees can contribute their ideas. We may be surprised that those quiet employees are very active when it comes to posting their opinions, ideas, and insights in these portals or dashboards. Secondly, we can also encourage those quiet employees to write emails or write reports. From these reports and emails, we are able to learn new ideas or new ways of doing things. And we can reward them for their contribution. So we should not be biased when we hold meetings and recognize only those who are actively contributing. There are those who are quiet and do not like sharing their knowledge openly. So those are some of the key elements that demonstrate a knowledge-driven workplace. Next is learning methods and modalities. So in learning and creating knowledge-driven workplaces, we use different methods I have indicated a number of them, which can broadly be classified either as formal or informal. For formal learning, this is structured training sessions like workshops, seminars, university and college courses. They are structured because they have a timetable that is to be followed, and that each trainer is given a topic to discuss or present within that program. And it is also structured because there are expected outcomes that at the end of a training program, there are specific outcomes that are meant to be achieved. And those are the ones that we measure at the end of that program. The beauty with the structured training sessions is that it can start and end within a specified period of time and within specified resources, compared to informal learning, where it can be random and outcomes cannot easily be measured. So one of the methods of learning is formal learning through workshops, seminars, webinars like the one we are having, or university courses. I believe some of us went through university or colleges where we learned our human resource courses. And this was structured. And we were examined at the end of it. But for this training, we are not going to examine anybody. The only examination that I give is asking you questions or asking you to ask questions so that we ensure that there is learning that has taken place. The second method is mentorship and coaching, which are internal or on-the-job methods of learning, where more experienced, more skilled, and more knowledgeable employees can train others either below or above them. For example, mentoring, the traditional mentorship was downward, where senior managers mentored junior employees. But today we have reverse mentorship, where junior staff can mentor senior staff, depending on one, their exposure, two, their experience, and three, their innovativeness. And that is how we create a learning organization, that everybody can learn from everybody. Whether you are a senior or a junior, you can learn from each other. But in mentorship, we are talking about scheduled meetings where mentors and mentees meet to exchange their experiences, their skills, and their knowledge. And in that process, learning takes place. For coaching, it's more personalized, where the coachee and the coach meet on a regular basis to provide skills and knowledge on a particular field. So people can be coached on fields like communication, leadership, or performance management. Through coaching and mentoring, people acquire skills and knowledge. So this is one of the ways of developing managers, mentorship and coaching. And it is part of the succession planning that we all prepare in our organizations. Thirdly, there is experiential methods where people are exposed to real life cases or situations and learn from them. The most common way of experiential learning is through case studies. Case studies can be looked at in two ways. One, a written case study, where an organization is simulated with real problems, and the learners are expected to solve the problems in the case study. Or a case study could be an actual organization with real problems, and the learners are expected to solve the problems. For role plays is where employees stand in for others, especially when they are absent. And this can be done when managers are on leave, and employees who are under them can be temporarily be promoted so that they play their roles when they are away. So this kind of method are experiential in nature, that people are exposed to real life situations and they learn from them in a practical way. And in some cases, experiential learning is what is called pragmatic learning. Those of us who have been exposed to the learning cycles as presented by David Kolb, this is theory, is what they call experiential learning, where people pragmatically learn from their own experiences or the experience of others. When you talk about learning by reflecting, it means that you are exposed to a real life situation and then you critically think about it and come up with solutions. And that is a way of practical learning in organizations. At a basic level, when university graduates come to us in the form of internship, that is a form of experiential learning, that they are going to be exposed to real life situations where they are expected to apply their theoretical knowledge in existing organizations. So if it's an intern in HR, they have learned the theory in college or university, so they will come and learn how the theory they have learned applies in real life. So that is experiential learning. And there are many other situations where we are exposed to experiential learning, including induction and onboarding. That the experience you may have had in another organization may be different when you join another. So through onboarding, we get to learn what other organizations do and how. The other method of learning is digital delivery, where we are using technological tools like webinars and e-learning, which we also call distance learning, so that we are not limited to a geographical space or a location. In a knowledge-driven organization, people should be able to learn at any time and at any place and at their own pace. And this can only be done through utilization of digital tools like webinars or e-learning. Our learning and management systems, if we have any, should be able to utilize these tools so that we can create, share, and utilize knowledge. Another method which I've already mentioned is collaborative learning, where people work together as a team to share their skills, their knowledge, their insights, and their experiences. And in most cases, when we work together in organizations, we learn from each other. And this is one of the cheapest and easiest way of learning, where we create teams around tasks so that people share their skills and knowledge, or encourage group discussions. There are group discussions like project groups, where people within a project come together and discuss issues related to their project. Or it could be a sales team. This sales team can meet on a regular basis to discuss challenges they are facing in the market or emerging customer needs. So through this collaborative learning, people are able to create knowledge, share knowledge, and use the knowledge to solve problems or to innovate. So those are the methods and the modalities of learning in a knowledge-driven workplace. In the interest of time, I'll move to the next part, that is the role of technology in learning. Last week, we talked about digital utilization of learning in knowledge management. And some of them I have mentioned them here. One is a knowledge management system or learning management system, where managers store knowledge resources for learning purposes. These knowledge resources could be policies, manuals, and SOPs, or it could be learning programs. So through this learning management system, managers are able to track employee learning. Tracking progress means they are able to monitor the number of courses employees have attempted, the completion and the successful rates, as well as the level of utilization of the knowledge resources stored in this learning management system. For example, in an ERP, you may have learning resources like policies. So you can track by looking at the number of clicks on people who have utilized policies through this system. In some organizations, there are digital libraries, which could be owned by the organization or bought by organizations. But today, we don't need physical libraries like Kenya National Library to access knowledge. We can have digital knowledge resources on our palms, that through the use of mobile telephones or through the use of laptops, we are able to access knowledge resources like articles, books, guidelines, policies, SOPs, among others. So at the click of a button using these digital tools, we are able to access in real time new knowledge. And again, this helps to encourage a learning organization where people are not restricted to physical libraries. Webinars, these are web-based learning systems. That means web learning. They afford us real-time acquisition of skills and knowledge. And through this webinar, I want to believe that at the end of this process, we are able to acquire knowledge about cultivating a learning and a knowledge-based workplace. The other role of technology is learning, mobile learning applications. Just like the applications we have on our phones, like Google, or like AI, these are applications through which we can access knowledge anytime, anywhere, to enhance training or access to training content. I'm sure many of us use AI tools or applications such as ChatGPT, DeepSeek, or Gemini. And through the use of these applications, we are able to learn new things at any time of the day or night. Another technology which plays a key role in learning is social learning platforms. I've given examples before, but I can repeat those examples. One is LinkedIn. This is a professional platform where people can share their knowledge and insights with others. Two, we have Facebook, where people can also use this platform to share their knowledge. We also have other platforms like WhatsApp, which has become the new norm, where people share knowledge resources. That people share knowledge resources like PowerPoint presentations or notes through WhatsApp, or they can take photos related to processes and share with others. So we can share this knowledge with a wide audience through the adoption of social learning platforms like the ones I've mentioned, such as WhatsApp, Facebook, and LinkedIn. What are the characteristics of a knowledge-driven culture? One is continuous learning, that now learning never comes to an end. Like I said, when you stop learning, you stop dying. So you stop growing, you stop innovating, you stop being marketable. So we consistently seek knowledge to grow and develop ourselves so that we become relevant to our organizations and also in the job market. Two, open communication. I've already mentioned that in a knowledge-driven culture, there is open communication where people are free to share their ideas and provide feedback so that knowledge is not restricted to one place. So we can use various tools like telephones, emails, or other methods to communicate. Again, collaboration. I've talked about team working. We need to promote teamwork where people are assigned tasks and solving problems together. Innovation is about new ideas and providing better solutions to our organizations. That in a knowledge-driven culture, we encourage innovation. And how do we encourage innovation? By rewarding innovation. And I've talked about rewarding innovation through promotion, through recognition, or through a bonus based on innovation. And lastly is trust and respect. I've talked about it before, where we create an environment where people are feeling a sense of safety when they share their knowledge without feeling threatened, and also feeling like their knowledge is not relevant. So those are some of the characteristics of a knowledge-driven culture. Before I go further, I want to go back and ask if there is anybody who has a question on learning methods. 2, role of technology in learning. And 3, characteristics of a knowledge-driven culture. So anybody? Kihara, if you are there, you can ask a question or make a comment. Doreen, are you there? You can ask your question. Rasheri?
Good morning, Mr.
Yes,
Wendell. Yeah,
yes,
this is Krista.
Go on. Yes.
Yeah, I was just requesting, is it possible you flash the notes on learning methods and modalities? Just as
yes, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Can you see that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't have a question. There are things that that I didn't, I was not able to capture, but I was listening. So thank you so much. It was a very nice learning process that we are going through here. Thank you.
Thank you, Priska. I now want to move to the next slide, and that is building a learning culture. I've given a little definition there that a learning culture is where organizations encourage, value, and support continuous learning. Encourage, I've said the ways in which we can encourage, either by way of supporting people to attend courses or giving them tools and equipment to facilitate learning, or rewarding learning. That's a way of encouraging learning. Valuing is recognizing that those people with key knowledge assets can be rewarded. And then supporting continuous learning is where we provide resources, our own personal time, as well as guidelines to ensure that people learn on a continuous basis. So what does it require to create a learning culture? One is the leadership commitment, where managers take their own personal time to also learn and support others to learn, especially where the leaders have been entrusted with the responsibility of mentoring others. They should create time to mentor others. They can also commit themselves through provision of adequate resources, such as finances and technology, so that people can continuously learn. Secondly, we have a clear vision and strategy, where vision is our position or where we want to be in the next 5, 10, 15 years. So clarity of vision tells us where we are headed. That, for example, we want to become a market leader in the provision of healthcare services. That's our vision. To be a leader requires that people have to have the relevant skills and knowledge in the provision of healthcare services. So we cannot achieve our vision if people are not trained and if people are not encouraged to learn. And for strategy, we must have a learning and development strategy where we train people on a continuous basis based on training needs. For example, management development is one of the strategies where we prepare lower level employees to occupy senior positions. So what do we do in learning and development? We coach and mentor junior staff, or we take them for leadership courses, which can be 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year, depending on the need. So building a learning culture requires that HR managers and top managers create a clear vision and a strategy which will provide direction on what the employees will achieve when they acquire new skills and knowledge. Thirdly, we provide opportunities for learning. And that is why we have developed training programs, which should be shared with all departments. And this training program usually is annual, so that people know which training is offered when and where. So that those training programs provide learning opportunities. And then from the training programs, we identify employees who require training after conducting training needs analysis or assessment. And for that to be successful, we need to provide training resources such as a training budget and materials, as well as tools such as learning management system. The other way of building a learning culture is through continuous feedback and reflection, where feedback enables employees to know how well they are doing. Without feedback, we will never know our progress. So feedback are the responses we get so that we are aware or we know how we are performing. If not us, it's other employees. We should give them feedback on their performance. For example, people have registered for various courses, and as HR managers, we need to track their performance. performance on the number of courses they have completed, performance on the impact of their training on their workplace, and feedback on areas of improvement or weakness. So such feedback identifies or helps employees to identify their strengths and weaknesses, areas of improvement, and any aspects that are pending which should be addressed. So feedback is very important. The other way of building this culture is through integration of learning into daily life. That we make it our business that every day is a learning opportunity. I believe through this program, we have learned something. Tomorrow you will learn something new. So we should ensure that for as long as we are working, we should learn something new. Although some of our work is fairly routine, we should be able to learn from others. And that is why we talk of collaboration, either within or outside the organization. So learning never stops if we make it part of our daily work. And lastly, we adopt technology to support learning, and I've mentioned digital tools such as webinars, learning management systems, and digital platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn, where we can learn from one another. The beauty with the digital technology is that we can learn at any time and at any place. And that is why we said we need to create digital laboratories and libraries where we can experiment and learn new skills and knowledge within and outside the organization. So those are some, not all, some of the ways of building a learning culture where learning never stops and where everybody is encouraged to learn, is valued for learning, and is supported. What is the purpose of developing a learning culture? And very quickly, I can go through this. It encourages employee engagement, where people are motivated, become loyal, and therefore remain in the organization for a long time. That where we encourage people to learn or even support them learning, we retain them. So if people are trained on a regular basis, they become motivated, they become loyal, and we retain them. Secondly, it promotes innovation and growth, that we encourage development of new ideas and exploration of new solutions. So in this way, we benefit from a learning culture where people innovate on a continuous basis. The other benefit is resilience, where we are able to develop sustainable learning, which can take care of changes in our environment. So resilience is the ability of an organization to survive and adapt to changes or crises in our environment. There are many crises that happen around us, such as sudden resignation of key staff. So if there is no continuous learning, such staff go with all their knowledge if it has not been shared. Another crisis is damage or loss of our database. If there was continuous learning, people will have been prepared adequately to take care of this challenge of loss of database. That is by storing knowledge in the clouds or in other repositories outside the organization. And we also solve problems through continuous learning. Knowledge is an asset because it helps us to solve problems. If we don't solve problems, then we fail as organizations. There are problems related to employees, problems related to products, problems related to technology, or even problems related to systems and processes. But when we have a learning culture, we are able to solve those problems because there will have been a continuous exchange of this knowledge, and this knowledge is also documented where people can log into and learn on a regular basis. The other purpose is leadership development, especially in succession planning, where we adequately prepare lower employees by way of training. We develop them and we ensure that our succession pipeline does not dry. So there is continuous learning that even if employees leave the organization, there are people who are adequately prepared to take over from them. So those are some of the benefits of a learning culture. How do we support? The other part, somebody might ask, you are saying supporting, and there's another one where we said building. Building is creating, and the supporting is where we have created, and now we want to ensure sustainability. So how do we support continuous learning? It is by providing training programs, which could be personalized depending on the need. So we train people in HR in various areas like compliance, and that is why we take people for training on labor laws. Or it could be on data protection, which cuts across. It's a cross-cutting topic, data protection. So we can train people on data protection. And we need to train them on a regular basis. And that's why we talk about learning and relearning. When you relearn, it means that there are some aspects that we may have forgotten and we need reminding. So we relearn regularly. And then we can also support continuous learning through providing access to resources. There are various resources that I have mentioned, technological resources, financial resources, or even human resources. They all are part of enhancing continuous learning. Technology in the form of digital platforms, human because of sharing of knowledge resources, and physical resources like computers or mobile telephones. Another way of supporting learning is through learning technologies, digital tools, I've mentioned that. The other one is mentorship opportunities where employees who are mentors and mentees are partnered to learn from the other. Personal development plans. I believe at the beginning of financial year, especially those who are in government, the financial year starts on Tuesday rather, yes, on Tuesday first. Part of the development plan is the training that people will want to enroll or engage in. So training can be part of these development plans where people have identified their targets and their KPIs. And for them to achieve these targets and KPIs, they need certain skills, and they will indicate in their performance contract the development plans that they have for them to achieve those targets and the KPIs. So we need to support continuous learning through some of these methods. There are many other methods, not limited to these 5 only. How do we encourage knowledge sharing? And again, some of these points have been discussed. One is through peer learning, where people at the same level learn from one another through those peer groups. Communities of practice is where people work together as a team and support each other professionally. For example, people in finance, they can support each other professionally. People in HR can support each other. Where a member is stuck, they can have meetings, either lunchtime or after work, so that they can share their insights to help their fellow members. And again, we need also to have knowledge champions. There are people who are passionate about sharing their knowledge. These are the champions. We identify them and encourage them to share their knowledge so that we don't lose this knowledge. I have indicated earlier that there are these people who are talkative in meetings and they share valuable knowledge. These are the people who can be identified as knowledge champions. Cross-functional projects where people work across teams in different departments. For example, when you are conducting a HR audit, you can work with the audit department if you have any, so that you share insights on areas to be audited. Because sometimes it's very hard to have an outsider to come and audit the HR department. Somebody in finance may not have deep understanding of the HR function. And that is why we encourage cross-functional projects such as human resource audit. And I will encourage you to join us next week in Naivasha to discuss HR audit for HR professionals starting on Monday. Recognition system is another way. I've said that we need to reward people who share their knowledge actively so that knowledge is not lost or is not hoarded or kept. And it's a way of encouraging knowledge sharing. To create a learning culture and a knowledge-driven workplace, we also need to support staff development. Staff development is about enabling our employees to acquire new skills and knowledge. As I have mentioned before, our employees need to learn, acquire new knowledge, relearn, remind themselves, and unlearn. Unlearn is to avoid or learn new ways of working and abandoning the old ways. Because as I indicated, our environment is dynamic. There are certain things we need to unlearn because they are no longer useful. Though unlearning takes long, but we can work on it. They say that and learning something takes 10 times more effort than learning a new one. Just like learning to ride a bicycle, we always pedal forward. To have a bicycle that you pedal backward will take a longer time. And that is what happens when we talk of unlearning. We also provide training opportunities like workshops, e-learning, seminars, and workshops so that people can acquire those skills. Career development and pathing, all of us have their career paths. Even within the HR function, some people may go to different pathways. So what are these pathways? 1, learning and development. 2, employee relations. 3 is health and safety. And 4 is performance management. But for HR generalists, they can have one pathway that is human resource management compared to other functions like finance and marketing. So we need to develop our staff by way of identifying their career plans and also creating pathways through which they can perfect their skills and knowledge. Job rotation is another way of staff development where people learn new skills and knowledge when they are moved to other sections within the same department. In a project environment, you can be moved to other functions like marketing, finance, in order to multitask people. When you are multitasked, it means that you can perform jobs in different functions, and that creates teamwork and ensures continuity. That when an employee is not present, other employees can take over. And we also learn through job rotation what happens in other departments so that we can develop holistic staff, people who are knowledgeable in many other areas. Learning portals like in centralized repositories, such as document management systems, we can create portals where people can log into and access knowledge resources. We cannot finish this program without talking about measuring impact, because yes, it is good to learn, but again, we also need to measure the value of our learning. So we can only determine the value of learning by measuring that learning process. So how do we measure learning? Is by developing metrics. These are measurements related to participation, engagement, and knowledge usage. Participation has to do with how people contribute to decision-making during meetings because they have acquired new skills and knowledge. Engagement is about keeping people focused and retained so that they don't leave the organization. Later, we shall be talking about employee turnover and how you can measure this. That is the number of employees who have left over a period of time over the average number of employees present. You multiply that by 100, you get the turnover rate. Beyond the turnover rate, we also need to establish the engagement rate. That through learning, employees can be engaged so that they don't leave. And that is why we talk of establishing the retention rate. Survey feedbacks is important so that people know how they are progressing. We give them feedback so that they are aware of their strengths and weaknesses, as well as next steps related to what they need to learn. Performance management is a very important way of identifying training needs. It can also be used to identify the impact of learning. That at the end of a learning process, the performance of employees must be improved. If there was a lot of wastage, failure to meet targets, or experiencing difficulties, then at the end of the learning process, employees should improve their performance. And again, knowledge retention compared to knowledge loss, we assess how well employees have retained the acquired knowledge. How do we assess this? By testing them, or if not a test, by exposing them to challenging tasks so that we know whether they have retained the knowledge that they acquired. And lastly is participation rate. How often and how many people engage in training programs. So we need to establish how many people participate. Ideally, everybody should participate in training programs, because without participation, some people may be left behind. And again, as I indicated from the beginning, they will have stopped learning. And when you stop learning, you stagnate. So we want to ensure that everybody is on board when it comes to learning. So we can establish the impact of learning by monitoring the rate of participation. Then we need to have a continuous learning mindset at the individual level. One, encourage curiosity. You want to know more about a subject. Two, as HR managers, we recognize those people share their learnings or their knowledge. We also prepare growth plans together with individual development plans so that individual goals are aligned with the organizational goals. And again, continuous mindset, we need to provide regular feedback so that people know where they are in relation to their learning. And lastly, building resilience, ensuring that people acquire learning and there's no stopping. Other ways is leading by example. I've mentioned this, that as leaders, we need to show an example by ensuring that we engage in learning ourselves. And in this way, we set the tone, build trust, and inspire change. Secondly, we create a safe environment where people are free to share their knowledge without fear. Access to learning tools. Again, we provide those tools, whether digital or physical, so that people can learn. Second last, we need to create learning or make learning as a KPI, a key performance indicator. That those people who are rated highly are those who have completed learning or training programs successfully. In some organizations, they set key performance indicators like the number of trainings completed. Even though the number of trainings, it is the number of tests undertaken. So in this way, people are rated, and this is tied to their performance as an outcome, so that we encourage people learning. And lastly is continuous feedback. Feedback keeps propping up, because it is very important. In anything we do, we need feedback. Sustainability is now making sure that we don't lose anything that we have created or cultivated a learning environment and a data-driven workplace. And then how do we sustain this, making it work for a long time? One is embedding knowledge management in strategy, ensuring that whatever knowledge resources we have or we share help to achieve the organizational goals and vision. 2, continuous improvement, that yes, learning also comes to an end, but we also need to continuously learn because our environment is dynamic and it is in a continuous state of change. So the learning we had yesterday is not the learning we have today. We need new skills and knowledge. Again, leadership role in modeling. Our leaders must be consistent by demonstrating that learning is rewarding, and we can demonstrate that by promoting those who learn new skills and knowledge, or rewarding them with recognition awards. An inclusive culture where the people from different backgrounds participate in decision making and also are given opportunities for training and development. Lastly is celebrating success, and that is recognizing and rewarding learning. There are several barriers that can inhibit learning. Lack of time, where people don't create time to learn new things, especially in a high-pressured environment. High-pressured because people have very many targets to achieve within short timelines. But again, this goes back to where you started, the target setting. The target setting must be realistic so that we can create time for people to learn. Secondly, is limited access, where resources are not available. And how do we make them available? Ensure that we use digital resources or centralized repositories. The other barrier is fear of failure. All of us have anxieties, especially in a team environment, where we fear that we are going to expose ourselves, or we may not have relevant experience that may help us to understand some concepts. So fear of failure is a barrier. And that is where people block themselves from participating. Low motivation, we have said continuous learning can be promoted through rewarding. And if people are not rewarded, they cannot continuously learn. So low motivation results from lack of reward or unclear benefits where people are sharing their knowledge. Another barrier is unsupportive culture, where there is no sharing of learning, where there is silo or compartmentalization system, or where people are fearing to share their knowledge. That is an unsupportive culture. How do we overcome those cultures? Allocate enough time, overcome silos, provide feedback, and adoption of new technologies. The second last thing for today is, what is our role as HR managers? And that is what Lillian had mentioned, that as HR managers, we have a big role in ensuring that we create this learning culture and knowledge-driven workplace. So our role is to create learning or training and development programs on a yearly or a quarterly basis so that people can acquire new skills. Secondly is appraisal. We integrate appraisal to learning. That through performance appraisal, we identify weaknesses or gaps that can be attributed to lack of skills and knowledge. So once we identify this, we then develop training programs that will help to bridge those performance gaps. Infrastructure support is where we are providing tools and platforms that will enable people to create, share, and also disseminate knowledge. There are many platforms that we have mentioned, for example, LMS. learning management system. This is part of the learning infrastructure, which can help people to access learning resources in a seamless manner. The other role is skill assessment. That we cannot take people for training as and when we think is relevant. No. Training can only add value if we identify training gaps. And that can be done through training needs analysis, which can be done through observation, through questionnaires, or through performance analysis. And this skills assessment identifies gaps, priority areas in terms of performance, and training opportunities to which people can be slotted. And again, we need to develop training and development policies. And this requires that everybody should be eligible for training. We create equal opportunities, not only for employment, but also in learning and development. So we develop policies which provide guidelines on the type of training, expectations, and opportunities for everybody to acquire new skills and knowledge. Lastly, budget allocation. That as HR managers, we need to create a budget for training and development for either annually or half yearly, depending on your organization. But most organizations create a budget for a whole year. Content curation. This is about identifying, storing, and sharing relevant content so that whatever knowledge reservoirs that we have supports attainment of organizational objectives. We also need to track progress by evaluating training. That at the end of every training process, we evaluate 4 things. 1, learning, and that's why we are here, learning. 2, behavior change. 3, reactions. And 4, areas of improvement. So what have we achieved at the end of that training? And lastly, we need to create a culture which promotes and values continuous learning. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, that is what I had for us today. I will now invite us to ask any questions or make any comments so that we can close it there for today. The floor is yours so that we can close. Yes,
Thank
please.
you. I'm grateful to have joined this training. This is my first time.
Yes,
and
you're welcome.
Gained a lot. I gained a lot. I see that we have to create a learning culture.
Yes.
And also having programs in place for training all staff, not just selected staff. Most organizations concentrate on management staff and forget about the rest of the staff they have. And I think this is something that is very good that will help me develop further my organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comment, Mr. Peace. And yes, we need to ensure that everybody in our organization learns, relearns, or unlearns certain skills so that we can adapt to changes in our environment.
Thank you.
So if there is no other question.
Andrew?
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for that presentation. I think my key take home today is that you have said the training is to be done in a structured way, and you're encouraging us to make sure that we are doing training needs analysis before we begin identifying or who to train. So I think that is key for me. And also, I think what I'm taking home is that as HR professionals, we need to be very intentional in ensuring that we factor in training budgets. In everything that we do, any proposal that go out, we make sure that we have factored in a budget for training, so that we help our teams to learn, relearn, and unlearn. And I think finally, is many times we have in our minds that trainings is that those ones that we send people out for workshops, seminars, and etc. But what I'm seeing is that there are things that do not have cost implications in that are training in nature, so that we can capitalize on that when we are struggling financially, and we are able to exchange learnings without really spending resources or money. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you very much for your comment, and I'm happy that you have a few takeaways, and that is what really delights us as ACHRP. Anybody else with a question or a comment before I hand over to Dan, if you have a comment to make?
Good morning.
Yes, Esther?
Thank you for the training. It was quite enriching.
Yes.
I was just requesting if you'd share the screen on overcoming the barriers. I didn't quite get it well. Yeah.
Just hold on if I can share.
Okay, thank you.
So those are the discussion points that I had indicated on sharing of knowledge on the barriers, overcoming barriers. I guess that is what you are. Eta?
Yes, this is what I quite didn't get. Thank you for that. I appreciate.
You are welcome. I guess you have captured it now.
I have captured it. Thank you.
Thank you, Eta.
Okay.
Good morning, Andrew and everyone else.
Yes, Winnie. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
For me, I would like to thank you for such an impactful presentation.
Yes.
I'm actually new in this and I've quite learned a lot.
Yes.
But I also have a question that I need to floor to you. What if an organization does not have a budget allocation for training? How best can you convince the employees to do their own personal development without like the company coming in? Or maybe what if the company does not believe more so on training on employees? How best can you treat that?
Okay, thank you very much, Winnie. There are two ways of looking at it. That one, there is the formal training that we mentioned, where organizations sponsor people for workshops, seminars, and university courses. And two, there is the informal training or learning, where people share their experiences, their skills and knowledge within an organization. So in the absence of a budget, you may have to do on-the-job training, where people are mentored, are coached, or there is apprenticeship, or like I mentioned, there is a community of learning where people learn from each other. And also, you can also encourage people to learn on their own by pegging promotion based on training, that anybody who acquires new papers or certificates are eligible for promotion. But first of all, encourage people to learn internally from each other. And also, when it comes to promotion, you encourage people to learn on their own so that they can be promoted. And also, as HR manager, we also said that you lead by example, that if your organization does not have money, you also don't have money for that training. You can also enroll for a course. And in your meetings, you can tell them, yeah, look here, I have also registered for this course, and this is what I have achieved, so that others can be encouraged. It's also difficult to think of an organization where there is no learning, because as I have indicated, organizations stagnate because they don't provide opportunities for learning. It is for us as HR managers to be employee champions, not only in protecting their rights and privileges, but also championing their development, so that we build a case for our employees to be supported by the organization by way of training, so that the organization or the department can improve its performance. So if you provide a strong case for training as HR manager to the top managers, I believe they should be able to allocate a budget for training. But again, in the absence of a budget, you can do informal training through coaching and mentoring, job shadowing, temporary promotions, and also membership of certain teams so that people can acquire new skills. I believe that is what you can do in the absence of a budget. Thank you, Winnie.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes. So if there is no more questions, I wish to stop there for today. But as my colleague had projected, we have a training next week on HR audit in Lake Naivasha. You are free to join. Please go to your portal, log into your credentials, and you are able to see our program for next week. That is employee, human resource audit for HR professionals. So on that note, we come to the end of our presentation today. I want to wish you a good day, and may God bless.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Mwalimu, that was very insightful.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you very
Hello.
much. Ben, you have something to say?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I wanted to share how to access certificates for those who are participating in today's training. And I will not use a lot of time for those who are still present. So you would go to achlp.org, that is achlp.org. Then you log into your account. I want to use my account as a case study. So you put in your email. The password is always indicated there, but you have to type it. ACHRP, you have to type that. ACHRP at 2025. If you are using your own laptop, you can click remember me. But most times that password does not change. My name is Dan Peters, Ngodo, CHRP, Dan Peters. And when I log into my account, this is what I find. The first page is take courses, followed by my courses. For all the courses that I've taken, the last column would indicate taken. Why I'm demonstrating this is that we've created one of the easiest platforms to acquire, store, and access and retrieve your CPD courses and learning materials. And especially when now we are doing this particular course on knowledge management, this is how you manage your knowledge over time. Now, so you access the take courses, this is the first page. But then when you go to the second page, this is my courses. But maybe before I move to my courses, I could demonstrate what happens in take courses. Whenever I want to enroll for a particular training, I would check the box on the last column. They would indicate the amount. And there is a space there for M-Pesa code there. That is where I would type in my transaction code and submit. Why is this important? So that these particular courses that are appearing on my courses would appear under my courses. Now for me, I've taken all these courses that we've done, including this one today. When I say take, I mean I have enrolled. So today we were having cultivating a learning and knowledge-driven workplace. This is course number 10 on my courses. So once this course has come to my courses, I can be able to access the presentation. So the question of, will you share the presentation? Yes, the presentation is already shared. It's within reach, it is within your portal. So once you've moved the course from take courses to my courses, you are able to access, view the materials there. This is the course that the trainer was taking us through. So you are able to scroll down through your learning material up to the last page where he has told us thank you, and where he has also told us whether we had any questions. So the entire content is there. You're able to scroll down and study and go through your learning materials. Now, remember, this particular training was also being recorded. You can access the video by clicking play. You see on the left panel, there is a video button, and below it, there is a play button. So you click play. This is the video now. You can be able to play this video within yeah, I guess it is recording up to where we are. So there we are. You can be able to play this video from when the trainer started his training up to where you say. So you can listen to that particular training at your own pace. Slowly. So if there was a slide that was not clear to you, you are able to listen to both the video and you're also able to go through the presentation. Now, after you are done with that, you can access I see someone is raising their hand. Go ahead, Lama.
Kindly repeat the process.
Okay.
Oh.
No problem. I will do that right away. Let me actually log out from my portal. It's a very easy system to use. And for information, most of us, I realize, have not interacted with this system before. This system has been there for the last, since 2017. We've been conducting CPD trainings for CPD trainings for HR professionals, and also conducting corporate training for organizations since 2017. So in all these years you see there, I'm on the training calendar. On all these years you see, we've been having trainings all through the years. Yes, come again. Okay, so when you go to our website, that is achrp.org, it will take you to a page like this. If you have a query, you can reach me via WhatsApp on that number. And you can also send us an email, or you can send a message through the contact us button. Now, when you log in to the portal, this is the login form. You go to the login, put in your email and the password. I said the password for everybody, it is SCHRP at 2025. Now, whenever you see that indicated in red, it is just a hint for you that what is you are supposed to type is that. So if you click login, it can't pass because you've not typed the password. So you have to type the password yourself. SCHRP at 2025. Maybe you're wondering why the password will be exposed. One, someone must maybe have to know your email to be able to log into your account. Fortunately, even when they know your email address, they cannot be able to, there is nothing that one can change in the account. So I would log into my account. And you would realize what I meant when I said one cannot change an item in your account. If you go to this name, then Peters, you can't edit the name. You can't edit the email. So it will be an activity in futility to try to log into somebody's account. We've set the system to that level of security. So when you log in, you go to take courses. This is where you can select any particular. Yes?
Then Peters, before you proceed, yes. For my situation, I haven't been able to access the portal for the last 4 days.
Now you can.
Regardless, now I can.
Why?
Was there an issue? No, right now I can't. I still can't access my portal. Actually, the portal itself. Every time I try, it tells me, no, I can't be logged in. Every time I try to register, it tells me the email has already been used.
Now, what you need to do is to use, first of all, the easiest way to enroll for a course is to, instead of going to the training calendar, under this one where you are supposed to click register here, access the courses through login, put your email, that email that says it is registered, try to put that email there, enter the password ACHRP at 2025, and click login. Once you are logged in, select your course. This course was number 17, Cultivating a Learning and Knowledge-Driven Culture. If you've not taken the course, you will find that there will be a box here. Mine indicates taken because I'm already enrolled for this course. The box will be like this one. So you would select the box like that, this way. You check the box. Then you'll see at the top the amount payable. That is the 1,500 amount payable. Once you've paid You'll enter the M-Pesa code at that point and submit. So I've indicated that I've already taken the course. That is why my course appears here at the number 10 for the courses that I've taken this year. And why this system is important, I'm still able to see the courses I took last year there. And I'm able to view the presentations and access the certificates. I'm able to see the courses I took in 2021. There, again, access the presentations and access the certificates. So now, when we are in this current year, 2025, my certificates are by 4 p.m. today. This certificate should be live. It shows pending, but it will be live by 4. So, say for instance, for the course that I took last weekend, say digital solutions, I'm able to view the presentation again, and I'm able to, this is the presentation. I can scroll down, I can see the video, I can view the video there, I can play that video. And I can be able to access my certificate. By clicking on the certificate column, I would click download there. And my certificate will be live for me. I don't know whether, are you able to view my certificate there?
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah, you have to view a very beautiful certificate indicating that the academy certifies you have taken this particular course held on this date via Zoom. Now, the good thing, if you have your QR code, you can actually scan that QR code from where you are, and it will show that this particular certificate is a valid certificate issued to so and so for this particular course by the Academy of Certified Human Resource Professionals. Again, if you click on the link at the top left, it will still take you to the link showing that this is a valid certificate issued to Dan Peters, course title, issued on, and the issuer was Academy of Certified Human Resource Professionals. That's how you interact with this portal. It's very easy to use. The participant who has talked to me about not being able to access your portal, you can kindly share your email with me via WhatsApp on the number that is shown on the screen. Or, yeah, this is the number. Let me share the number there for all of us. The number is 0722 245. And let's keep learning and encouraging each other to learn new things. Any questions?
Thank you.
Any questions so far? So if there is no question, I will terminate the training at that point. At this training, once you get hold of your certificate, you have 1 CPD point. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dan.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you too.